So this is another customer states video, but it has a 67 GTO involved. This had been to a few different shops actually, and they were looking for a wiring gremlin. He was driving the car, it just shut off. So as they were going through it, people were looking through the dash, people were looking for, you know, whatever fuses are in the car, which there aren't many. People were looking at a bunch of stuff. So there's things disconnected under the dash, like the ignition switch, because nothing would happen when you would turn the key. And so he dropped it off here. He also told me that on the drive, or like recent drives, he's noticed a bunch of smoke coming out of the valve covers. So that was another thing that we're looking into, seeing why there was smoke coming out of the valve covers. But I remember when he dropped it off, I pointed down here. Well, we've already fixed it, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to see what it was. But I pointed down here, and you see these wires, right?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you see these wires. So there was a red wire that was just sitting here with no tape on it, no nothing. And you could see the copper. Just, it was open. And I point at it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, no, they've checked that. That's fine." I was like, all right. Well, as any good mechanic knows, you don't trust the customer or the previous mechanic. So we looked into it. And with something like that, if you really want to know if a wire is working, you use one of these. So it's a test light. You would put this to ground or power, depending on if you're testing ground or power on the other side. And then you would touch it to the wire. So what happened was that wire that had the metal showing on it had been deteriorated on the lower part of it where it goes down to the starter. Because on this car, it comes from the battery to the starter, and then from the starter to the rest of the car. So there was broken wires in it, kind of like that Jeep that we did the other month or whatever. So there were broken wires in it. And so when you look with one of these, it'll show battery voltage because there is voltage there. As soon as you put a load on it, like this tiny little light, it won't light. So we actually tested it with that. It said battery voltage. We tested it with this. The light wouldn't turn on. We gave it a yank. It broke exactly like that Jeep wiring did. It was broken internally. So we fixed that. It would start. I told him once it would start, we would do a compression test because I don't know if you know, but smoke coming out of the valve covers is not normal at all. Usually it's compression getting past the rings some way, shape, or form. So we do the compression test. We did kind of we did an electronic relative test. That way we had an idea of where stuff was going. So we looked at cylinder 5, and cylinder 5 had 30 PSI. The rest of them, or the other two that we checked, were 150. 120 PSI difference between cylinders. That one is dead. He was talking about doing an LS swap. I told him if he was going to do an LS swap to appease anybody who was going to be angry, was just to put this engine aside because it is numbers matching. We ran him down kind of the thing of what an LS swap costs, and he might be holding off on that, and we might just be taking this out in the future and rebuilding it. But fixing the wire there, he also told me that when they went to tow it in, the car didn't have any brakes. So I look at that, brake master's leaking, booster is just fluid running down the front of it. I change all that, and that brings us up into the now. We adjusted the rear drums, and guess what? That one, no brake fluid comes out of. So I'm gonna see why this wheel cylinder gets no fluid. And then hopefully, after we fix that, and I put the little bits inside the car together, we can drive this out. And you guys will get to hear a 7-cylinder GTO. I wanted to show you what I'm dealing with back here before I start my process of figuring out what the actual problem is. So we're gonna crack this loose, which normally will start to bleed because it does a gravity bleed because I have the reservoir open and this is a lower point than the reservoir, so it should just start coming out, and it's not. I'm gonna show you what it should happen when you just crack it loose. We'll go to the other side. I cracked that loose. little spin, and it just starts dripping immediately. That is 100% normal. That is what we want to see, and we know see it on the other side. So if I'm lucky, then I'll be able to take off this line and it'll just start leaking into the wheel cylinder, which means we have to poke some holes in the wheel cylinder and try to get that fluid out the top of it. Worst case scenario is I crack that line loose and it doesn't do anything. And then we gotta go up the car and find it. Let's see what happens. It's old, so I want some help. Oh.
Oh no.
Never mind, it's not 5/16. I'll be right back. Oh, there we go. Nope. All right, that isn't wanting to turn, which could just pose more problems. Nope. Before I go too strip happy, let's just see if we can poke stuff. Ooh. Look at that. We got a baby. There was definitely something in there, however. So I might leave that off while we do a couple pumps or bleeds to try to get it out of there, because I stuck the poker in there and it literally stopped and it just like lightly pushed and went bloop. Like, oh, so we're gonna bleed this, and hopefully if there's any other problems like that with nothing bleeding, all we have to do is poke it. That's the easiest fix we can do with these. So let's get the bleeding done and then move on to what's next. Oh. Perfect. I will say, in my professional opinion, that's the best way to pour brake fluid. All right, we're gonna see how they feel and then do one more bleed, probably just to make sure, and then move on to the next. Pump it 3 times and then hold it down. When we went to pump the rear, it stopped pushing out any kind of fluid. The pedal didn't really change, but it kind of got worse. So I'm just vacuuming it right now. I don't know if it has something to do with the reservoir in the design. Maybe it's when it pushes forward, it's just pushing up into the reservoir and then back down, so it's not really going out the hole we're opening up in the back. Could be an old car thing, could be me being stupid, I don't know. But we're doing the vacuum bleed, and so far it's seeming better. I did the rear. I'm gonna do the front right now. After just doing the vacuum bleed, we're just gonna see how the brakes feel, and if they're good, they're good. I will say the worst thing that you can do is take your car to multiple different shops, because I don't know where any of the parts are for this, and I didn't take it apart, and all data doesn't tell me how to put this together. So this is something that is going to be hard to see, but if you look at this ignition and the cap around it, let me get that out of the way that we can probably see better with the regular light on the camera. But yeah, you see this cap? You see this ignition? If you look at it, this side is higher up than that side. And that only means one thing. Someone cross-threaded this.
No.
Yeah, so we need a ignition for a 1967 GTO, which I'm sure O'Reilly has. So we'll just call them up and
Yes.
they'll send one down and they'll be like, oh yeah, we've got 45 on the shelf. They're everywhere. So we got the okay to try and take the ignition out. I did tell him I would do my 100% best to not damage the wood grain stuff, but whoever did this made it so that we have to put in some effort and I have to use some tools that I wouldn't use in that area. And then we did actually grab the stuff that we got to put back into the dash from the customer. So we'll be able to throw, because it's pretty much like this and like maybe another vent. And, you know, there's a couple little things under there that we're taking out that we need to put back in. But the big thing right now is trying to get that off. So I'm going to take it off first, or get it out first, see how bad it is, and if we actually have to do a new ignition. I'm gonna get some tape though, because this might not be pretty. Okay, so we need to hold it back here, get the pin in, and turn the key at the same time, yeah?
But you gotta find it.
Oh, that went.
We gotta find it. And I don't know which way it goes. Hold the back of it.
I got it held. Wait, I got it held.
Yeah, but you gotta find the pin.
Yeah.
So you don't know which way it turns yet until you give me that.
Okay. You know, this could be why they cross-threaded it, because
They didn't know.
yeah, they just unscrewed it. And it could be worse off than I thought. Oh, is it going or?
It's going. Or something.
Because it's supposed to slot in.
Right, it may not even be threaded in there. But you gotta find that. It's a pain in the ass. Even worse now with it.
With whoever did this, yeah. The gentleman in here that was helping me was actually my next door neighbor. And his timing couldn't have been more superfluous because, one, he has a black GTO in one of his garages, and it's a 455, whatever year that is. I don't know GTOs. You guys can tell me. And so he came by, and I told him that we were going to mess with the ignition switch here. He was like, oh, this is how these come out, blah, 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 this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And so he actually found out that when he, like, this ring was able to spin, and so we were actually able to tighten the ring, so that's okay. But I'm pretty sure whoever was trying to work on this before just tried unscrewing the ring, which my dumbass would have done the same exact thing because I don't know these, right? So my neighbor comes in here and he goes, no, that little pinhole underneath it, where is it? Yeah, that little pinhole. No, you got to put it in accessory and blah, 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 and then you put a pin in it. So I got a little pin and I was like, all right. So we're sitting there, we're trying to figure out accessory. Me and my neighbor, who's got many old cars. And by old cars, I mean like 70 and back. We forgot that back then, accessory was not key in, first click, second click, and then start. Back then, it was key in, first click is run, start is next, there is no other click, and then accessory is in and back. So we were fighting with it, he was fighting with it, we were trying to find this little pin you're supposed to push in. And then as I'm sitting here, because I'm like, okay, well, that's back, right? Like, okay, well, oh no, that's accessory. So this is start, right? And then that was one click, and then that was off, and you know, so on and so forth. This thing was kind of wonky with how it was turning. And then we finally get it, I push it in, it goes further back, and now the pin is here. Okay, so the hole is on the bottom. And I take this piece, push it in, and there's actually a pin to push, which I couldn't do before. And then we just continue going left, and then, oh my goodness, the key cylinder comes out. I'm sorry for the long explanation, but it was just one of those things where when it finally went back, I went, oh my God, this is so much easier, where it seemed impossible at first because I saw the other pin up here and I thought that we were just nowhere near and I couldn't push that pin, but it's on the bottom side. We're, you know, crisis averted. Now I'm going to try and reset this thing and get it to lock in there properly. And we're going to clean this up, and we might not even need a new ignition. It might just be that whoever before me didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. My neighbor came here, led me down the correct path, but we couldn't figure it out, and I sent him on his way because it's his day off. He needs to go do something, right? And then I figure it out. So much happier. I popped the little ring off, and right now just looking at the threads to make sure that everything is fine. Once you have the key cylinder out, honestly, like with how tight this was, I'm going to try to get it tighter than that, but I literally put the screwdriver in and twisted it like I was trying to loosen it, and it just came off perfectly fine. So I'm going to try the same thing for tightening it, but some people have done that already, and it's got some little chingers on there. But I just wanted to see if there was a way to get this thing to slot in and not rotate, or if it just needs compression. That pin should almost be facing down, and then it should lock in. Hey, look at that. Look at that. Competency, people. Competency.
Now make sure he's...
I gotta cross thread it, yep. When you're tightening something or putting a bolt in, if it stops spinning, that just means that you need to try harder, okay? Don't wimp out or any of that stuff. Just get a bigger wrench, channel locks. Yeah, there's no it's never you are the problem. It's always the bolt or the nut that is the problem, okay? Well, see, me buying it will mean that I want to work on these. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really. Like, these are cool cars. I go to a car show, I see one, I'm like, God, that car is amazing. Do I want one or do I want to work on it? No. Because it might have been completely upside down the way we had it before. Look at that. I heard a click. I see a key moving that comes out at any position, so that's not really helpful. Okay, so I think that's accessory, right? Because that's all the way back. That should be off. That should be on. Yes, so on, yeah. Off, accessory. Oh my God. Thingies. And look, it's actually straight up and down, which is how it should have, not the way that it was before. It was way over on this side and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure it could use a new one, but since he needs a new engine, wherever we can save money.
Still loose.
Yeah, that can be after new engine. He's like happy driving the car, where right now it's just kind of like. All right, so now I'm gonna let the battery charge. We're gonna put some of the interior back together. And he said something about the blinkers being funky. And then after that, I think he might be good just to take, well, I'll see if there's anything else going on with it, but he might be good to take the car until we're ready to rebuild it. Since that's done, we're gonna turn it on, make sure that still does what it should and whatnot. I know I've mentioned it before, but this is at best, a 7-cylinder 400 cubic inch engine, so it's going to run a little rough. But that's on. Blinker's on. That blinker's on. Okay, he said that one of them didn't work and one of them went the other direction, but we'll see. Hey, that started way better than never. Okay, started better. Needs to stay running. I also don't know when the last time the carb was checked, when any spark plugs were checked, any maintenance history on this entire car. All right, we'll check the front. See, just check the front, and then we'll check the headlights and stuff.
The right side, both lights on the right side flash. This side, only the outside one flash.
Okay, so we might have like a bulb issue or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me check the front.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw the interior back together. We're gonna turn it off, and then I'm gonna see if maybe that's just, it was just a fluke. But the other thing too would be, I'm guessing both bulbs on the driver's side for the brakes are bad. One being the running light is bad. The other one being the actual brake light is bad. And then for the front, might be some bulbs as well that are bad, but I'm gonna throw this together, see if he wants to come pick it up. But I think that's it. I don't think there was anything else other than, engine stuff. So we talked to the customer, and Since it's just some bulbs, he's going to take care of the bulbs. But he was saying that before, the right blinker flashed for the left blinker, and the left blinker flashed for the right blinker. So me and Steve were kind of talking about it, and we think it's because the ignition switch was upside down, so the car was confused on which side was which. And now that it's right side up, it's all good. But we're going to talk about what the next plan is, but you guys can wait for that. We'll have a video on it when we do pull the engine and do all that stuff. We just haven't hashed out the days or the dollar signs that are needed for it. But thanks for watching. Check out the channel, like, subscribe, do all that crap. Have a good one.
Subscribe!